Support for the Idaho Matters podcast is brought to you in part by University of Idaho, Idaho's only Carnegie R1 classified research university. Our Carnegie R1 designation recognizes the discoveries we make that help our forests thrive. It means we're creating more doctors and doing real research to strengthen cybersecurity for Idaho businesses, our energy sector, and every Idahoan. More at go.uidaho.edu/Idaho-is-Idaho.
Boise State Public Radio and Duck Club Entertainment present the Charlie Hunter Trio.
Charlie Hunter Trio, everybody.
Wednesday, March 18th at the Shrine Social Club in Boise. Blending jazz, funk, blues, and rock, Hunter is a guitarist, producer, and bandleader who will present his unique finger-picking technique on custom hybrid guitars. Tickets are available now at theduckclub.com.
More Idaho Matters now from the studios of Boise State Public Radio News. I'm Gemma Gaudette. America turns 250 years old this year, and we wanted to celebrate with something special. So we're starting a new series here at Idaho Matters to discover more about Idaho's history and the places we see and touch in our daily lives. This really does create deeper connections, not just with our home, but really within our community. And we're teaming up with the city of Boise to take a deep dive into the history of the capital city. And we're doing this one small piece at a time. And we're calling it our America 250 Short Histories of Boise project. It will air every Monday right here on Idaho Matters. And we'll bring you a snapshot of a small corner of our capital city and its unique past. So joining us today to talk about the series and how it all came about, our city historian, Ashley O'Hara, with Boise's Department of Arts and History, and Emma Garrett and Tim Griffith, who took in the graduate 502 public history class at Boise State University. I want to welcome all three of you to the program. Thanks so much for being with us today.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. Ashley, let me begin the conversation with you today. How did all of this get started?
Yeah. So again, thanks for having me and welcoming Emma, Tim, and I. I began working for the city last May, and right away our focus was planning how Boise could take part in the celebration of our country's 250th anniversary. And as part of that work, we partnered, like you said, with Dr. Bob Reinhardt. He is the professor for Boise State's 502 class. And this is a graduate level public history class. And this partnership gave us the opportunity to collaborate directly with these students on real public history projects. Our program's history assistant and I brought several project ideas to the class. And one of those ended up becoming Short Stories of Boise. The idea was to create these short 2 to 3 minute audio segments about places around Boise that some people might recognize or even sometimes often overlook. And yeah, these pieces dig into the history behind these local places and the names. And they were inspired actually by NPR's podcast Bird Notes, that short storytelling style. But yeah, this project was also guided by the 5 national themes from the American Association for State and Local History, which are unfinished revolutions, power of place, we the people, the American experiment in doing history. And each of those themes connects to how we experience what being an American is as a nation, and then here in Boise as well. And yeah, so throughout the fall semester, we met with Tim and Emma along with other students, and we would help them guide their research, answer any questions. And yeah, today you will hear the first segment on their projects, but I want to let them talk about their experience because it's pretty interesting and pretty fun.
Well, before we get there, Ashley, can you tell us about exactly how this is going to work? Because every Monday, right here in Idaho Matters, we'll look at a different spot in Boise. So what will folks be hearing and learning about?
Yeah, so you'll learn about the location of the place. You'll learn about kind of why that place is significant to Boise's history, any players, like who is involved, where it is, like I said, and then any interesting historical facts that go along with that and something to connect to our sense of place here in Boise.
Mm. So, Emma, why did you want to do this project?
First off, thank you for having us again. I kind of really went over the different projects that we were handed by Ashley and her teammate, and I kind of perused them, and I saw the audio minutes or bird notes idea that she had presented
Hmm.
to us. And one of the place names really just kind of sparked my interest. And so I was like, ooh, I want to follow through with this. And having an interest in one of the places helped me to uh, find interest in the whole project itself,
Mm.
um, and kind of be all in, but still be able to keep that interest in a sense, I guess.
So, Tim, tell us about the graduate class itself. I mean, where really all of this kind of started.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, thanks again for having us. Yeah, it was a great class. It was, yeah, Dr. Bob Reinhardt again. And going into it, I really knew very little about public history. I think I sort of thought it was just like Civil War reenactors, basically. Um, but in the class, we got to meet personally lots of different public historians like Ashley and people from archives, people from National Park Service, and they would come in the first part of class and kind of chat about their career. And yeah, I think we just kind of I got at least like a very broad the broad scope of like what history is really, and we talked a lot about the practical problems of it and kind of the conceptual problems of it and like what it can bring society. And it was super helpful to me as a history student for sure.
Well, and Tim, you wanted to connect each site through its history, but you also wanted, my understanding is to highlight some human stories. So, how did you choose what to focus on for each spot?
I mean, kind of like what Emma said, things that just kind of sparked my imagination. I view history as kind of there's two paths. There's this kind of like argumentative path where you're concerned with like why things happened and what they mean to us. And then there's like this kind of narrative or human story path where you're interested in just kind of like connecting with historical figures. And I'm sort of more interested in that path, honestly. And so yeah, I mean, just stories that popped out to me that I wondered like, what was it like to be there for this person? What would I have done in
Mm.
this situation? That's kind of how I started on a lot of these.
And Emma, how did you choose the places you wanted to explore with the project?
Um, my idea of the places that I wanted to do was more so on my own knowledge of public history. I tend to focus more on military history, and so having um, place names that connected with that really helped continue to spark my interest. But also, I chose places that I didn't know about, and I wanted to learn more about because having no prior knowledge of these places, I was able to dive deeper into why these places were here, who brought them to life, and things like that.
And Tim, you patterned these a little after, as we mentioned, the NPR Bird Notes feature,
Mhm.
um, and then the Something I Heard feature. So why did
Yeah.
you want these to be, fun, right, and people
Mhm.
learning something, but also making it a series?
Right. Yeah, I think, I mean, I love Joel Wayne's Something I Heard on Boise Public Radio.
Hmm.
And I think there's just something about that. There's like compact, little, like gentle and fun, like minutes of learning that can like pop into your life as you're, whatever you're doing, driving around or have your earbuds in or whatever. I think it's just like a really approachable way to like take in a little bit of history or whatever it is, culture, or whatever, just especially to people that aren't necessarily experts on it. And it's like a great way to kind of like dive into understanding a little more about history, I think.
Hmm. Well, and Tim, I think it's fair to say that some of our past can be difficult. It can be
Hmm.
uncomfortable to hear about. But why was it important to you to include those parts of our history?
Yeah, I mean, I think it might be easier to just think about kind of the nice parts and the heroic parts of our past. But I think if we want to learn from history and truly like use it to be better people and a better society today, that we've got to confront the difficult parts of our past. One of the ones that I honed in on for this was when Marian Anderson, a famous opera singer and civil rights leader, came to Boise. She wasn't allowed to stay in a number of hotels, and finally, when she was allowed to stay in hotels, she had to enter through like the staff entrance. And I think, yeah, stories like that, it kind of like connects our places to connects our city to like natural interests, and also just kind of, yeah, it can be a moment to like reflect on what's changed. And
Hmm.
yeah.
And Emma, you collected some of your information from all kinds of sources. So can you tell us a little bit more about where your research led you?
Um, I did start with academic sources, but I wasn't finding information that I felt was uh, information that people would want to hear about. So I started looking at like newspapers and uh, the National Register of Historic Places and seeing if there was any information there because a lot of our history isn't just in history books or in archives, it's from people talking to one another and sharing
Mm.
stories and having that aspect and being able to explain that everybody was talking about these places kind of shares the history even more.
So Tim and Emma, I would love it if you could each give us one example of something that surprised you or maybe really jumped out at you while you were learning more about Boise's history. And so Tim, I'm going to let you start.
Okay, sure. Yeah, I think like the most impactful story to me was when I was researching Bogus Basin, and I found it in Eve Chandler's book, Building Bogus Basin. But it's the story. It was December 7th, 1941, and this group of high school students, high school seniors, were up backcountry skiing at Bogus Basin before the lifts went in, and at their lunch break, they came down to the parking lot and they were eating their sandwiches and listening to the radio. And they learned of Pearl Harbor, the bombing of Pearl Harbor
Mm.
while they were there. And it kind of just like, it was this really like poignant moment to me that kind of like sparked my imagination. And it kind of connected to myself in high school where with 9/11, and it kind of like was this bridge between time to me to these young men and how much their lives were about to change.
And Emma, what about you?
Um, the One of the most interesting things I found was actually through the Boise airport about Gowan Field. And my research interest being military history, it kind of led me to that, to researching Gowan Field. And I didn't realize that after World War II ended in 1945, Gowan Field's gates were closed. Like, no one was going there, no one was using it for military purposes. And then a year later, they opened the gates and was like, here you go, Boise, here you go, Idaho, here's a base for National Guard. And so that's
Hmm.
kind of how Idaho's National Guard got started post World War II. And I was like, that is amazing.
Ashley, why did Boise want to do something like this?
I think Boise just really sees the value in all of the places around the city. And that just doesn't mean like downtown proper, because I think you'll experience in the next couple months that these places span from the foothills, where, we talk about the levee, or out by Gowan Field and over by Lucky Peak and things like that. And so just kind of bringing together all of these places that make Boise what we are, who we are. And I think that it was just a really great medium to do these really concise histories in a short amount of time, because I think a lot of people sometimes like history is just a lot of reading, and it can, it gets long.
Yeah.
And so in short, I think this was just a really great way to bring these short moments to the public, and having them on air, I just think is really unique. I've never done a project like this myself. So one, it's been a learning experience for me because I am newish to Boise just since last year. So I have also been learning along with the students. And I think that just kind of goes that I've met people who have lived here their whole lives and they don't know some of the history about these places. So I think everyone is going to get to learn through short stories of Boise.
Well, we're all very excited about this project. I want to thank all of you for joining us today. We've been speaking with city historian Ashley O'Hara with Boise's Department of Arts and History, and Emma Taggart and Tim Griffith, who did the research for our New America 250 Short Histories of Boise project. Now, you can follow the entire project on our website, boisestatepublicradio.org, and then tune in every Monday on Idaho Matters to find out something new about the city of Boise. You've been listening to the Idaho Matters podcast from Boise State Public Radio. To stay in touch, you can find quick Idaho daily news every morning when you subscribe to the Connector podcast. Find this and other Boise State Public Radio podcasts on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you're listening right now.